The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled like something ending. I stood under the old clock tower, clutching the small velvet box in my hand. My heart was louder than the thunder had been an hour ago. When Ria arrived, she smiled. "You look nervous, Arav. What's going on?" I laughed awkwardly. "You'll see." My fingers trembled as I opened the box. "Ria, I love you. I've loved you since the day you threw that coffee at me in class." "Will you marry me?" For a second, she didn't speak. Her eyes widened, then softened before turning cold. "Arav, you can't be serious." "I am," I said quietly. "I want a life with you."
"Just you and me," she sighed.
"You're sweet, but no." The word hit me harder than I expected. "No? Why?" "You're not enough," she said. "You're kind, but you don't have ambition. You live in a rented flat, you work part-time, and you still talk about dreams like a child. I can't build a future on that." I blinked, trying to breathe. "So it's about money?" "It's about reality," she whispered. "Kabir understands that. He has plans, security. He knows what he wants." I took a step back. "Kabir? You mean—" "Yes," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We've been seeing each other. I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't pretend anymore." My chest felt hollow. "You could have told me before I made a fool of myself." "I didn't want drama," she replied. "You're too emotional, Arav. You always were." I laughed bitterly. "Right. Emotional. That's what you called it when I waited hours in the rain for you, or when I skipped meals to help you study." She looked away. "You'll find someone better. Someone who fits your world. My world," I said quietly. "You were my world." Ria's eyes shimmered for a second, then she turned. "Goodbye, Arav." I watched her walk away, her heels clicking against the wet pavement, her laughter fading into the night. I stood there, holding a ring that had no home, under a sky that refused to cry for me. That night, I stopped believing in happy endings. The days after she left felt endless. I'd wake up, stare at the ceiling, and ask myself, what now? Aditya barged into my apartment one morning, dropping a bag of food on my table. "You look like hell, man." "Thanks," I muttered, pulling the blanket over my face. He yanked it off. "You've been in this cave for 2 weeks. Get up, shower, eat. You can't keep letting her win like this." "Win?" I scoffed. "She didn't play a game, Addie. She just walked away." "Exactly," he said sharply. "She walked." "You stopped." I sat up, rubbing my eyes. "I don't have the strength to start again," he sighed. "Then borrow mine. I got you an interview. Small software firm. They need a junior developer. You're good, Arav. You just need to remember it." I stared at him. "You think I can do this?" "I know you can," he said. "You just forgot who you are." The next day, I showed up to the interview. My hands shook, my voice cracked, but somehow they hired me. I told Aditya that night, see? He grinned over the phone. "Told you. Life doesn't stop because someone walked out." "Yeah," I said softly. "But it still hurts." He paused. "It will. But pain fades when you fill it with purpose." His words stayed with me. I threw myself into work. Long nights, cold coffee, endless coding. My boss noticed. "You've got potential, Arav," he said one evening. "Keep this up and you'll go far." I smiled, but inside I heard her voice. "You're not enough." That sentence burned like fuel. Every project I finished, every new skill I learned, felt like a silent answer to her rejection. Months passed. My apartment didn't feel as empty anymore. I'd see Aditya sometimes, and he'd say, "You're changing, bro. You're starting to glow again." Maybe I was. But when the nights got quiet and the city lights faded, I'd still think of her. Not with love, not with hate, but with a strange kind of motivation. She broke me. But in the cracks, I found fire. The first time I saw her, she was arguing with the printer. "If this thing jams one more time, I swear I'm quitting," she muttered. I laughed from my desk. "It's just testing your patience." "Happens to everyone on their first week," she turned, smiling. "Then it's definitely winning." "I'm Mira, by the way. New marketing manager." "Arav," I said, standing up. "Software guy." "Resident printer expert." "Oh, thank God," she grinned. "My savior." I fixed the paper tray and the printer came to life. She clapped softly. "You're officially my favorite person here." "Careful," I said. "That title comes with tech support duties?" She laughed. The kind of laugh that didn't need to be loud to feel warm. Over the next few weeks, we crossed paths often. Meetings, lunch breaks, late nights at the office. One afternoon, she sat beside me in the cafeteria. "You always eat alone. Is that by choice or bad company?" "Maybe both," I said with a small smile. She tilted her head. "You sound like someone who's been through something. Don't we all?" I replied, sipping my tea. She didn't push. "Fair, but for the record, you don't have to keep your walls so high." "I'm not trying to climb them." I looked at her, surprised. "You're different, you know that?" "So I've been told," she said playfully. "Usually by people who think I talk too much." I chuckled. "I don't mind the talking." "Good," she said. "Then I'll keep doing it." Days turned into months. We began walking out together after work. She'd talk about her favorite books, random songs, stray dogs she wanted to adopt. I'd mostly listen. One evening she asked, "Do you ever feel like peace can be louder than love?" I nodded. I didn't believe that before. "I do now," she smiled softly. "Then maybe you're finally healing." Her words stayed with me. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not because someone filled the silence, but because they didn't demand to. Love didn't knock this time. It simply walked in, quietly, like Mira did. Aditya lifted his glass and said, "Finally, the man who swore off love is married." "I'm proud of you, bro," I laughed. "You make it sound like a miracle." "It is a miracle," he grinned. "You were one heartbreak away from turning into a monk." Mira chuckled beside me. "Good thing I stopped that from happening." I looked at her, the way she smiled, calm and effortless. "Yeah," I said softly, "you really did." Our wedding wasn't grand. A small hall, a few friends, simple vows. Mira didn't care about fancy decorations. She just said, "I want peace, not perfection." And that's exactly what it was. Peaceful. During the ceremony, Aditya whispered, "You sure about this?" "It's fast," I smiled. "It doesn't feel fast." "It feels right," he nodded. "Then that's all that matters." Afterward, when everyone left, Mira and I sat on the terrace, watching the city lights. She said, "I don't want promises, Arav. I just want honesty. If you're sad, say it. If you're happy, show it. That's all I ask." I nodded. "I can do that." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Then we'll be fine." That night, for the first time in years, I didn't think about Ria. My mind was quiet. My heart was steady. Over the next months, our home filled with laughter, morning coffee, burnt toast, silly arguments about TV shows. Mira had this way of making ordinary days feel important. One evening, I came home late from work. She was sitting on the couch waiting. "Rough day?" she asked. "Just long," I said, collapsing beside her. She smiled. "Then sit still. I'll make tea." I caught her hand. "No, just stay. This is enough." She looked at me for a long second and said, "You're different now." "Maybe," I said. "Maybe I finally believe I'm enough," she whispered. "You always were." I didn't know then that peace can be so fragile, that sometimes, when life seems perfect, the past finds a way to knock again. But that night, under the soft light of our home, I believed we were untouchable. It was late, and Mira had just fallen asleep beside me. My phone buzzed on the table, an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" There was silence, then a shaky voice. "Arav, it's me." My heart stopped. "Ria!" "Yes," she whispered. "Please don't hang up." I sat up slowly. "Why are you calling me?" "I didn't know who else to talk to," she said. "Kabir, he's gone." "Gone?" I repeated. "He left me. For someone younger, richer." Her breath hitched. "Everything fell apart, Arav. The business, the house, everything." I ran a hand through my hair. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I thought you'd understand," she said softly. "You always did. You cared when no one else did." "Ria," I said quietly. "That was a long time ago." "I know," she said. "But I keep thinking, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have chosen love over money." I let out a bitter laugh. "Now you realize that?" Her voice cracked. "I was stupid. I thought stability mattered more than feelings. Kabir promised me the world. He gave me nothing but pain." I closed my eyes, hearing Mira's calm breathing beside me. "I'm sorry that happened, but I've moved on." "I heard," she whispered. "You're married?" "Yes. Is she good to you?" "She's everything you weren't," I said, before I could stop myself. There was a long silence. Then she said, "I deserve that." I didn't reply. The clock ticked loudly in the background. Arav, she said finally, can we meet? Just once, I want to say sorry in person. I hesitated. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, she said. Just one conversation. I need closure, I sighed. I'll think about it. Thank you, she said weakly. You were always the better one. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, feeling a strange emptiness. Not love, not anger, just a quiet ache. Mira stirred beside me. Everything okay? I whispered. Yeah, just someone from the past. But deep down, I knew the past never really stays buried. Ria kept calling all week. I finally told Mira. She looked up from her tea and said calmly, You should go. I frowned. You're okay with that? I trust you, she said. Just don't forget who you are now. Her words stayed with me as I drove to the cafe. When I walked in, Ria was already there, hair tied up, eyes red, hands clutching her cup like it was all she had left. She looked up and froze. You came? I said I'd think about it, I replied, sitting down. So why am I here? She smiled faintly. Because you still care. You always did, I shook my head. Don't mistake decency for feelings. Her voice trembled. I've lost everything, Arav. The business failed, Kabir's gone, my family doesn't even pick my calls. I have no one. I'm sorry to hear that, I said quietly. She leaned forward. You're not angry? I was, I admitted, for a long time. But I learned to let go. Tears welled up in her eyes. You don't know how much I regret what I did. You regret losing, I said. Not leaving, she flinched. That's not fair. It's the truth. Her hand trembled. I thought money would make me happy. I thought I'd be secure. But all I feel now is empty. I looked at her for a long moment. You made your choice, Ria. I made mine, she whispered. Do you still love me? The question hit harder than I expected. For a moment, I saw the girl I once loved, laughing, carefree, full of promises she never kept. Then I remembered Mira's words. No, I said softly. I don't. Ria's lips parted, but no sound came out. She looked away, wiping her tears. I hope you find peace, I added, standing. Arav, she whispered. I thought you'd at least pity me. I did, I said, turning to leave. For a moment, outside the wind felt lighter. I took a deep breath, realizing something. Closure doesn't come from others. It comes from walking away without needing to look back. Ria's eyes were swollen from crying. Please, Arav, she said, reaching across the table. Just one more chance. I'll make it right this time. I pulled my hand back. There's no this time, Ria. That chapter's over. She shook her head desperately. Don't say that. You still care. I can see it in your eyes. You're mistaking closure for emotion, I said quietly. Before she could answer, I heard the cafe door open. The familiar click of heels, the soft rustle of a dupatta, and then Mira. She walked toward us with calm, deliberate steps. Ria turned, her voice breaking. Mira? I stood, stunned but steady. What are you doing here? Mira smiled faintly. You forgot your wallet, she said, setting it on the table. Then her gaze shifted to Ria. And I thought maybe it was time I met the woman who taught my husband what not to settle for. Ria's face went pale. Wife? She stammered. I nodded. Yes, Ria, this is my wife. The silence between us stretched. The noise of the cafe seemed distant now. Mira sat down beside me, calm as ever. You know, she said softly, people who can't value love never deserve a second chance. Ria's lips trembled. You don't understand what I lost. Mira tilted her head. Maybe you lost something you never really had. I loved him. Ria cried. I met her gaze. You love the idea of me, not me. Ria's tears fell onto her trembling hands. I was stupid, Arav. I thought success would make me happy. But I'd give everything to go back. You can't go back, I said. And I don't want you to. Mira reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. Let's go, she whispered. I nodded and stood. Ria didn't move. She just stared at the table, her tears falling soundlessly. As we walked out, Mira looked up at me. You okay? For the first time, I said, breathing deeply. I think I am. Outside, the evening air felt clean. Behind me, the past sat in that cafe, crying over what it lost, and I walked away, finally free. I was in my office when Aditya walked in. You heard the news? He asked. I looked up from my laptop. About what? Kabir's company. It's gone. Total collapse. Fraud, bankruptcy, the works. I leaned back, silent for a moment. So karma finally found its address. He nodded slowly. And Raya? Before I could answer, my assistant appeared at the door. Sir, there's an older woman here to see you. She says it's urgent. When I stepped into the lobby, I froze. Ria's mother stood there, frail, trembling, her eyes red. Auntie? I said softly. Please sit. She shook her head. No, Beta, I won't take your time. Her voice cracked. She's not eating. She doesn't speak. She just keeps saying your name. My throat tightened, but I stayed quiet. She regrets everything, she whispered. She says she ruined the only good thing she ever had. I walked to the window, staring at the gray sky. Some wounds don't heal just because someone says sorry. I know, she said, wiping her tears. But she's dying inside. I turned back, meeting her eyes. So was I once. She flinched but nodded as if she understood. I just wanted you to know. That's all. I walked her to the door. Tell her, I paused, searching for the right words. Tell her I hope she finds peace, the kind she never let me have. When she left, I stood there for a long time, watching the rain begin to fall. Later that evening, Mira found me by the window. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said gently. Her mother came, I replied. Ria's breaking. Mira didn't say anything for a while. Then she took my hand, warm and steady. And what do you feel? I exhaled slowly. Nothing. Just peace, she smiled faintly. That's because you finally let her go. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. Inside, I felt light. Like the storm had passed through me and left nothing behind but calm. For the first time in years, I didn't look back. Do you ever think about her? Mira asked one evening as we stacked books in the new NGO office. I looked up, smiling faintly. Sometimes. Not the way I used to, she tilted her head. How's that? I think of her like a closed chapter, I said. One I've already learned from, Mira smiled softly. Good, because we've got enough chapters ahead to fill a lifetime, we both laughed. The room smelled of fresh paint and hope. Kids' drawings covered the walls, bright suns, crooked hearts, dreams scribbled in crayons. Aditya stopped by with snacks. You two are becoming saints, he teased. From heartbreak to humanitarian work, classic redemption arc, I grinned. Not redemption, just peace, he nodded thoughtfully. You've changed, Arav. Maybe I just stopped fighting the wrong battles, I said. Later that night, as Mira and I closed up, she placed a hand on my arm. You know, this place, it's more than an NGO. It's healing for both of us. I looked around at the flickering lights and worn desks. Yeah, I said quietly. It's the first thing I've built from love, not pain. She smiled, leaning against me. So no ghosts from the past anymore? None that scare me, I said. Sometimes I think about Ria, not with anger, but with understanding. Mira's eyes softened. You really forgave her? I think I did, I admitted. People lose themselves chasing illusions. I did too once. We all want something that shines until we realize it blinds us. She squeezed my hand. And now? Now, I said, smiling. I know that love isn't about who stays the longest. It's about who stands with you when you fall. Mira rested her head on my shoulder. Then we're standing pretty strong, huh? I laughed. We are. Outside, the city lights blinked like distant stars. For once, I didn't feel like I was chasing anything. I was exactly where I was meant to be. With her, with purpose, with peace, and that peace was the kind I never knew I was searching for. I was walking out of the office when I saw her, standing near the gate, head lowered, hands trembling. Ria. For a moment, the world went still. She looked thinner, her eyes hollow but calm. Arav, she whispered. I didn't come to ask for anything. I nodded slowly. Then why are you here? To apologize, she said, her voice cracking. You don't owe me a word, but I needed to say it. I hurt you, and I've paid for it every day since. I took a deep breath. You don't need my forgiveness to move on. She shook her head. No, I do. Because you were the only person who truly loved me. Her words didn't sting anymore. They just floated between us, empty, quiet, harmless. I forgive you, I said, and for the first time I meant it. Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled faintly. You became the man I always hoped you'd be. I'm glad someone else saw what I couldn't. She turned to leave. The wind carried her faint goodbye, and I let it go with her. That night, Mira noticed the silence in me. You saw her, didn't you? She asked. I nodded. Outside the office. She came to apologize. Mira looked at me gently. And you? I forgave her, I said. It felt right. She smiled softly. Do you regret any of it? The pain, the heartbreak, everything? I thought for a moment, watching her face glow in the dim light. No, I said, because her rejection led me to you. Mira reached over, brushed my hair with her fingers and whispered, then maybe that was the plan all along. Later, as she drifted to sleep beside me, I lay awake listening to her breathe. The city hummed faintly outside, but inside everything was still, peaceful, complete. I realized something then. Rejection isn't the end of love. Sometimes it's life's quiet way of redirecting us to where we truly belong, and I finally did.